Alright guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork, and just wanted to bring you guys into the shop today doing some more maintenance on my SCTE from Losi, and this is obviously the MIP version of that car. As I've been running this kit, things need maintenance, and just kind of like what I showed you guys on a couple other videos with moving to the hard anodized shock bodies and upgrading the diffs to the HD diffs from Losi, putting in the King Heads motor mount. Those are just maintenance things that we do as people that just love RC. So this next little upgrade or modification or maintenance item that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to add these hard anodized pivot balls. Now these are a optional item for the SCTE, and here's the model number of those pivot balls, LOSB 2187. They're hard anodized, so they're not going to break down as quickly, and they'll fit in the rod ends just a little bit better and not wear the plastic rod ends out as quickly. And I'll show you here in just a couple minutes what I'm talking about. Here's the other part number, and this is just the stock rod end set from Losi LOSB 4023. Now, if you're running the MIP kit, you will not be doing the steering linkage. They use different ones, or 4mm versus the 5mm ones. So pretty much what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be changing out the 4, 2 in the rear, 2 in the front, and then also that steering servo arm that is also included in this kit. Now, the biggest thing that I noticed just at the track, I was having lots of wheel wobbling issues, and if you start tracing the steps back, you realize that the pivot balls have kind of worn out. And let me show you here on the rear what I'm talking about. This is probably my worst one, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this. Basically, that whole thing is moving inside of that pivot in that rod end, and basically when you have a flat surface, and you'll see here a little bit is the screw and a little bit is the pivot ball. So when you translate that out to the very far end of the vehicle with a wheel, there's just all this kind of wheel movement. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade those. I will show you guys kind of, as I go along, things that I may run into as issues, and we'll go from there, and I'll show you guys the final product at the very end. Alright, stay tuned for the next video. Alright, and we're back now, and I've done some prep work, and I've also kind of organized things, so switching out all these rod ends and pivot balls will be a little bit easier and kind of keep my sanity involved. Now, one thing that I definitely do recommend is grab yourself a set of calipers so that you can check your sizing as far as your turnbuckles, so that way you don't have to go and reset up your whole vehicle again. If you try and rely on the manual, I did not see anything in there that said the lengths of the turnbuckles. So definitely take some measurements before you start. That way you can kind of at least get in the ballpark when you get your vehicle back up and running. Now, two things. I've already got one set up for you guys so you guys can see it. This is the rear one that had all that play in it. Now, there are going to be different pivot balls in this set. There's going to be just kind of the regular ones right there, which hopefully, if I can get my camera to focus here, that's just going to be the regular one there. There's also going to be this guy that has kind of that square washer on the one side that's kind of built into the pivot ball. That goes towards your shock towers on both your front and your rear. So keep that in mind when you are building these up. One other thing I did want to show you guys is a couple of measurements I took of the pivot balls themselves. Now this is that one from the rear that we saw earlier that had all that play in it, and you'll see that the kind of chrome has kind of worn off the one ball section of it. And let's take a quick measurement of how that measures with some calipers. So we're going to get this hopefully in here, and it's measuring out to about, let me make sure I got it all set up here. And we're set up. So it looks like 6.66 right in there as far as the pivot ball. Now the new ones, let's measure those up. Now this is the one that has kind of the conical washer on it. Just trying to get it set up here. And that one's measuring out to about 6.8. So it's not a lot of difference, but when you start magnifying it all the way out to the very edge of that wheel, it definitely, it's kind of like an earthquake in the Richter scale. A 6. You got the next one's a 7. That's massively different. So, anyways, that's the measurements really quick. I'm going to go ahead and get these things switched out and changed. One other thing I definitely do want to note, these are the Lunsford titanium turnbuckles, but you'll notice that they have a little hash mark on the one side of each turnbuckle, and that's basically to keep you orientated as far as which way you're going to be turning the turnbuckle. Now, in my vehicle, and hopefully yours too, mine are all on the passenger side of the vehicle, and if you're in Europe, you need to figure out and convert. But basically, that way when you're turning the turnbuckle, it all either loosens or tightens in the same direction on every single turnbuckle. So keep that in mind. I believe that is true for stock as well. That's it. On to the next video. And we're back now, and I've basically replaced all of the rod ends and pivot balls on my SCTE, at least the main 4 on both the front and the rear. So all in all, a great maintenance idea to keep your used SCTE just performing like it's brand new out of the box. Let me grab this thing real quick, and hopefully if you guys can see this, I'm moving it and nothing's moving. It is solid now on those 2 fixed points. So there's no movement at all inside the rod end with the pivot ball, and I'm very happy. So this should definitely be a noticeable maintenance item when I hit the track next. Just really quick, as far as the model numbers, once again, the rod end set, and these are just the replacement rod ends for the 10T is what they call it, and SCTE is what it works for, LOSB 4023, and then the hard anodized pivot ball set, and this is the upgrade to the stock item, LOSB 2187. Now keep in mind, it may not work for the new SCTE 2.0. As far as I've seen and read, it looks like they have 4mm turnbuckles where the SCTE has 5mm turnbuckles. So I believe the pivot balls are slightly smaller on the 2.0. So keep that in mind if you are trying to upgrade or do some maintenance on your 2.0. All in all, that's it for now, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully this brings you some improvement to your ride. That's it for now, guys. Once again, thumbs up and subscribe if you definitely do like this video. Over and out.